Hey, it's Alex Williams of the New Stack here at the Cloud Foundry Summit in Basel, Switzerland. And I'm here with Molly Crowther. And Molly works at Pivotal. And you are on the security team there, correct?
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about what your role is there. What do you do at Pivotal?
Yeah, so I'm a technical program manager for Cloud Foundry. I work with both Pivotal and open source teams to help them with security. The technical program management team is pretty interesting. Basically, the way that Pivotal works and the way that we try to get all the Cloud Foundry teams to work, they're very small, focused engineering teams, and they're really good at working on their project and their microservice. But when they have cross-cutting items that they need to work on across multiple teams, or they need to make sure they're not breaking other people, or they need to work on things together, that's where program management kind of comes in at a higher level to help us scale kind of the normal agile processes that we use for Cloud Foundry and for Pivotal. Interesting.
So we're doing just kind of a recap on the first day of the conference, and you gave a presentation. And tell us a little bit about what you talked about.
Yeah, so I had a talk with my kind of PM, Stephen Levine, who's the product lead for the Build Packs team for Cloud Foundry. And we talked about the work that we've been doing for about the last 10 months on vulnerability management for Cloud Foundry. So we've basically been working on a product that intakes data from various sources about security vulnerabilities, and then it kind of spits that information out to the different product teams using Pivotal Tracker and kind of fitting into their normal workflow, so that when a new security vulnerability comes out, teams automatically get a story that they can pick up that tells them exactly what they need to fix, and then they can report back what versions they're releasing to fix that issue.
It seems like security has a larger role at this conference than I've seen at other conferences in the past. Have you been to prior Cloud Foundry events?
Yeah, so this is my third Cloud Foundry Summit. I've been to 2016 and 2017 in California, and then this is the first time I've been to one in Europe. Yeah, I think we usually have a good mix of security talks, because it's something that most of the members of the foundation are really interested in. Cloud Foundry is a really good platform for security, just the way that it's designed, and we're kind of pushing the envelope of what a platform as a service can do for you in terms of security.
How are you seeing it different than this time around in Europe compared to other events that you've been to for Cloud Foundry?
I think it's interesting because we're definitely a bunch of talks today. So Dan Yonner, who's also from Pivotal, was here talking about CredHub, which is an open source credential management and kind of all-around security solution for Cloud Foundry. We've got Guy Pajarny, who you just talked to earlier. We had some people talking about a Bosch process management thing that's doing isolation for Bosch jobs. So we have a lot of good talks today, especially for security. Hopefully there'll be some tomorrow. I haven't looked at the schedule totally yet. But I feel it's about the same number that we've actually had at most of the summits that I've been to, just because security is a big focus, and Europe is also interesting because they have some different requirements than North America. So definitely people in Europe are pretty interested in what we're working on.
So what are the topics then that you're seeing that are trending kind of at a conference like this that strike your interest?
I'm definitely interested in how Cloud Foundry is moving forward with things like credential management, just because I think not just us, but other companies have had a lot of problems with leaking credentials by mistake. It can be a very expensive problem. It's in the news a lot, and I think people are really interested in what's the next generation of how we keep credentials secure and safe.
Are we talking kind of about a little bit like when when like someone like might inadvertently put out a password on GitHub, for example,
definitely.
and then they'll say, "Oh, I just deleted the password," but it's still kind of in the, still embedded in the correspondence that was part of that.
Yeah, there's a
Is
lot
that what
of,
we're talking about? Kind of thing.
Committing credentials to GitHub by mistake, which actually within Cloud Foundry we've done a decent amount of work to prevent our teams from doing that. So we have a CLI that prevents them from committing credentials. We scan the open source repos regularly for credentials, just to prevent people either getting access to things they shouldn't, or basically what happens is people spin up Bitcoin mining on AWS, and it can be pretty expensive when that happens. So I think that's low-hanging fruit that people are working on now that I'm excited to see where that goes.
So there's some architectural announcements that were made today. Kuba had been what was described as Kubernetes on Bosch, and now it's it's basically Cloud Foundry container runtime running the application the application platform, which we know is Cloud Foundry, and running that on Bosch, right? So what for you from a security perspective are some of the takeaways that you that you find interesting?
So I think there are definitely trade-offs, but I think you're getting a lot when you use Cloud Foundry with Kubernetes, because basically they're going to be allowing you to do rolling updates of Kubernetes itself and of the stem cells that are used to run it, which are basically the virtual machine operating system that Cloud Foundry is continuously patching. Like, we're patching that all the time. So if you're trying to manage Kubernetes yourself and you're using virtual machines and you're maybe not patching like that operating system that frequently, you're leaving yourself really vulnerable. So definitely excited about that. There's still obviously advantages to using the application runtime, because you get those same updates for free, but you also get your container images automatically updated whenever we release the rootfs as well. So I think if you are using the container runtime, you're going to have to keep your own container images up to date in terms of security patching, but you're still getting a lot.
That's a challenge, isn't it? To keep those container images updated, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's. Tell me about that. Tell me about what you're finding with keeping images updated in container runtimes.
I mean, I'm definitely not like a container expert, but we've built a lot of tooling for Cloud Foundry around basically whenever we hear that something is wrong in Ubuntu, or the other. I guess we're only on Ubuntu right now for the rootfs, but SUSE is developing their own container image as well. So we have a lot of tooling that as soon as something is publicly made available, we pick it up, it goes automatically into the pipelines, and it's out within 2 hours or so. When you adopt a container runtime, you're not getting that for free from us. So that's something that people will have to do themselves.
And that's pretty new to a lot of people, keeping the images updated.
I'm assuming so, yeah.
Yeah, I would assume so, yeah.
I mean, there are other companies out there that I think that are, helping with that. I think they're scanning through like CoreOS, and there are companies doing vulnerability scanning for you.
Right.
But yeah, it's still something that you're going to have to worry about yourself. But if you can isolate, isolate your system enough, there's some compensating controls for that, but it's still something that people have to think about.
Is there a tool gap here then?
Potentially.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the container runtime is really new, and I'm definitely not saying that there's not a way that we can get around that eventually. But it's just something to think about.
Yeah. Well, any other insights, or on this first day of the Cloud Foundry conference?
I think it's been really good. I've really liked, especially just like the diversity of all the talks. It's great having Abby up there on stage, and not having. I feel like the panels have been really really good and really interesting. I like the new keynote format that they've been doing, where it's a little bit
Conversation,
quicker.
yeah.
And, yeah, they're having good conversation. So I like that a lot.
Great. Well, Molly, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Great.